month, Pilot Network is in full force in networking. I hope did everybody have a good time last night who was able to make it? Have you guys got TPNx of the liquid refreshment and the sustenance delivered? Again, Matt and I want to thank you for coming out. For those of you who had to travel far distance to come to Orlando, thank you very much. For those of you who didn't have to travel very far, thank you as well. We're having a great time. Matt and I talked about this. We said, okay, so what happens if nobody shows up? And I said, man, we're going to have like the biggest marble between the two guys in the industry of aviation. And then we laughed and said, that's impossible. Somebody else is beating us. So again, we want to thank you. We want to thank you guys so much for showing up, and gals for showing up. So today is totally different than last night, right? No, it's the same thing. It's just in a different format. We're going to do a lot of learning. We have a great program set up by the one and the only Matt Sweet. We have a lot of extremely interesting ideas to pass along to you. But before we do any of that, Matt and I are going to talk a little bit about the state of the union of TPN. And my big thing that I want to discuss with all of you is this is your network. Like, we can do a lot. We just started. We just built this little get-together. This is the smallest, hopefully, TPNx is ever going to be. This is the most intimate it's ever going to be. This is the chance for you guys to talk to each other, us to talk with you, interact, and on a platform that we're never going to be able to do again because it's only going to get bigger. Is that a good thing? Yes, it's a great thing for everybody. The rising tide raises all boats. Aaron Hagen says that a lot to Matt and I. We use it all the time. So if we can bring more people in, we're all going to get better. And not only, I know a lot of people here are looking to get the final job, the last job. Matt and I have our last jobs. A lot of you want those last jobs. That's not what TPN's about. TPN's about way more than that. It's about the camaraderie that we're building as pilots, as aviation professionals. It's working through issues that we have in our industry, whether those be union-related, safety problems, fatigue issues, the government FAA regulations, all that stuff. This is all things that we can change. These are all things that we can change. How do we do that? We have to keep growing. And this is my plea to you. Bring us ideas. Matt and I all we are is catalysts of what you want. The only thing that we started to do that we didn't get a vibe that was wanted by the membership was the podcast. And you know why I want to do that? Because I want to hear myself talk. That is the only reason that we started the podcast. And we love doing it. That's why we do that. But everything else has been directly correlated to what the network would put out in some sort of desired format. So we know there's a lot of stuff that's out there, but Matt and I want to do a lot more. How would you guys like to be able to have a realtor that you know when you move into a city instantaneously able to help you out? Or the fact that some of us never, especially some of us who were flying regionals or did military stuff and didn't make it to retirement, got done way early, all of a sudden you're going to make more money than you pretty much ever knew what to do with. It would be nice to have somebody to guide you along that path that you trust. I can go on, but those are the things that we want to move forward. So bring your ideas. We want to expose those things to everybody, and we want you to be the face of that. You got a great idea. In fact, one of the gentlemen who had to leave last night, while we were talking, I want to talk to him about something, his mission in the Air Force, and I want him on the podcast. I think it'd be really interesting to talk. We have unique stories for everybody here. You are the people that make the network. The network it's definitely not Adam Yuan and Matt Sweet. It's the 22,000 plus members that are in the Facebook group and the other 5,000+ that are out there in the rest of the infrastructure every day. In fact, those are growing a lot faster than the Facebook group is now. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt to give you kind of the State of the Union address of what TPN is right now. And this is where we want to go. And we've got a lot of brain power just in this room alone and way more across the world. So let's put it all together and let's make our network truly as powerful as we can. Thank you so much for showing up, and thank you. Matt, it's all yours.
All right, so what we did is, this is kind of a graph of 2017 of the growth of TPN. in terms of members. So this is the Facebook group, this is kind of the membership site, where this is the private community. It's also the 3 apps we have on the App Store, the podcast, and those sorts of things. So what you'll see is at the end of 2017, we hit 20,000 members almost exactly. So that was pretty huge, because what that meant is we were past KC-135 pilots who were talking to each other, who all knew each other in the same squadron, to people that we didn't know yet. There's a lot of people in this room who are familiar to each other, but there's a lot of different backgrounds. And so we're going to get 10 representatives of different backgrounds up here, and we're going to talk and have a conversation for a little bit. And so we're looking for you guys to have questions. But what this iterates is, right now at 2017, we're at 20,000 members. Right now, we're well over 26,000 members by this metric. So as soon as 2018 ends, this graph is going to go up yet again. And so every year we keep track of that, not for vanity, but purely for the fact that when we go and we talk to sponsors, or we talk to anyone that helps us run the TPN and make it what it is, our collective voice is really what matters. And when you go to someone and you say, we're going to put 100 military pilots for the most part in one room, and by the way, they're all looking for jobs. In this job market right now, that's very valuable, and that's a pretty awesome pond to fish in. And so I think it's good for all of us, but more importantly, it's good for the industry too, because what's in this room right now is a brain trust of some very highly trained, motivated individuals, and the spouses that support them. So one thing I do want to note is we're growing, we're experimenting. Sometimes things don't always work. We've got a bunch of apps on the App Store. The TPNx app that you're using today is an experiment to see if we like that kind of thing and if it works. The podcast is just so Adam can hear himself talk, because I can never shut him up otherwise. But all that said, we're experimenting. Let us know what you want and what we can do to support you. The other thing is the sponsors and vendors. Every sponsor and vendor that we have is here to support the network and the infrastructure that we're building, the TPN ecosystem. Every single one of them started out as a TPN member. You're going to see a lot of them talk today and give their experience and where they've been. Every single one of our sponsors started as a TPN member. Someone sitting in the audience who said, this is a valuable group of people that I want to support. They've been vetted strenuously to make sure that they have the heart of a teacher, and they're here to help, not just make a buck. Anyone who has making a buck in mind is automatically disqualified from any sort of sponsorship or association with TPN. And really, every single one of these people I've grown to call friends and mentors. And so they're not just people selling stuff to pilots. These are really people who are supporting everything we do at every level of our experience, whether it's in the squadron as a traditional, or the active duty guy just starting pilot training, or the gal who's just retiring looking for her transition to the airlines. This is a group of businesses and individuals that has created a network that supports the network of pilots, and that's what the pilot network is. It's all aspects of that. So just want to say thank you, and let's give a quick, before we go on to the pilot panel, let's give a quick round of applause to the spouses who brought their pilots to this thing. Having those people here is invaluable, and I asked each one of them last night that it's your job to be brave today and ask the questions, because pilots are infamous for just having crickets in the crowd. So when we bring these 10 people up here for the panel, make sure you're asking them questions, and no crickets today. There are no general officers in the room that I know of. If you are, just let us know. All right, let's go ahead and assemble the panel. You should know who you are.